So Candramukhi Didi, I'll give you a very warm introduction. I know you very well. And Candramukhi Didi was born into a devotee family. Her parents were disciples of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And so she was brought up in an ISKCON school, and she met Gurudeva on his first his first tour to Australia, which was 1997. And she took Harinam and Diksha that year. And her seva that she's been instructed to do is to teach the teachings of Srila Gurudeva. That's the order that Gurudeva gave her. And I actually remember being in a wonderful class, which I hold dear today because I actually remember it. She did a fantastic exposition on the Das Mula back in Puri in 2000, I think it was 2012. You remember that, Didi? And I still remember, I still have that to memory. So you did a very, very good class on that. She's a fantastic teacher and a mother, beautiful mother. Unfortunately, her baby's asleep, so there'll be no interruptions today, but fortunately for her. And I have to say, one of her great qualities is, you know, that whenever you do any seva with her, if she says she's going to do something, she really does it. You never have any anxiety that she's not going to be in communication or she's not going to get it done. She's got a very lucky husband there. That's all I can say. And a very lucky daughter. So, Candramukhi Didi, very warm welcome. Please offer us your Pushpanjali, my dear.
Thank you, Shadanandan Prabhu, for such a warm welcome. And I feel very grateful to be here with all of you, Gurudev's family. It's the best place to be, really. You know, Gurudev is our heart and soul. So I'll just offer my pranams. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakapaturubhyas Chakripasindubhya Vichapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavidanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gauratase Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Brindai Tosadevi Priya Keshavasacha Krishna Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyavache Namo Namaha. Vanchakapaturubhyas Chakripasindubhya Vichapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So when I go to remember Gurudev, there's so many floods of memories that come, and trying to isolate what to say in half an hour is difficult. I thought I'd talk about today a little bit about my how Gurudev came into my life, and reminds me of one of his books. I think it's Nectar of Govinda Leela, where he's speaking about Nishanta Bhajan, and he's saying in there that at the Nishanta Bhajan is Bhajan at the end of the night, and because Nishanta Leela is Krishna's, corresponds with Nishanta Leela, which is Krishna's pastimes at the end of the night. So Nishanta Bhajan is the end of the night when darkness is about to finish and the daylight is coming, and that is, you know, that is when Sadhu Sangha, when the pure devotee comes into our life, it is like that the sun is just about, the darkness of our material existence is just about to finish, and the light of bhakti is arising. And so, yeah, when I think of Gurudev coming into my life, it feels like that, you know, his transcendental presence, and, you know, picking me up off picking the train of my life up off the certain rail or tracks that was going on, and putting it on the right tracks, and yeah, like giving that nourishment, and where you feel like you're completely at home, and knowing that, yes, having darshan of such a personality in our life means guaranteed that our this material existence is very soon finishing and the dawn of bhakti is coming. So I just remember when Srila Gurudeva came to Mawulava the first time, he stayed not so far from us, about 5 minutes down the road actually, and he stayed at one devotee's house, Devendranath Prabhu, who had invited Srila Gurudeva there, and Srila Gurudeva was traveling with, there was about 30 people traveling with him at the time, and he was actually hosting all of them. And somehow or other it kind of got a bit too much for him, and he was kind of restricting things a bit too much, and it was I mean, you can imagine there's a lot of people there. And anyhow, just before I go on that train, I guess I'm on that train, I thought I might as well continue here, because he ended up staying at our house. And it was like quite a beautiful thing, because yeah, it was like it was getting too intense for them there, and then it was like all of a sudden Gurudev landed on our house, our doorstep in one morning. But when I was going to see Srila Gurudev, it was like he was just so much love and affection. You could just feel in hearing his Harikatha, so much love and affection, and it felt like everything was from the heart. The kirtan that Krishna Das was leading was from the heart. The devotees and the way they related to you were speaking to you from the heart. Srila Gurudev was speaking from his heart, and I just felt like, and I know others felt like that, my heart just opened and feel like, oh yes, Krishna consciousness is where I need to be. I mean, I was 17 years old at the time, and kind of like, not that I was questioning anything really, but you know, you're kind of thinking, well, where am I going in my life now, and what am I doing? And you know, it really kind of brought Krishna consciousness alive, even though I had been grown up in a devotee family. Everything became so charged and alive, like the Gurudev songs, the everything just became alive. And anyways, so, and I used to take photos a lot. I used to be right into photography, so I was taking photographs, and I remember thinking, I was only very young, thinking, oh, now I can use my photos in service of Krishna. And anyhow, one time, so during that time, while he was staying at Devendranath Prabhu's house, he came on a morning walk to my family's house, and then he did one program there, and so many more people came. And I remember when Srila Gurudev came up to our house, we greeted him, and my sister and I, we had some garlands, and we gave, and I remember looking into his blue eyes for the first time, and he said, I'll help you. And I took lots of photos that day, because my father, Rajavallabha Prabhu, is actually my stepfather. He took Gurudev around our whole property, which is a very beautiful, like, little rainforest and garden and everything. And then at the end of that, he was sitting on the lawn on a seat, and we're all sitting around him. And my mother just said, "Everything is yours, Gurudev." And he said, "Yes, I will take." And then he left, and my mother actually was grabbing his hand in the car. I've got a photo of it, grabbing his hand in the car, and she was just like pouring out so much love and affection. So it actually happened. We gave the property to Gurudev, because a few days later he actually ended up coming to our house. So he did one program there, and then Rajanath Prabhu and the others, they arranged. They're saying it's getting very difficult where we're staying, and can we come and stay with you? So my sister was at school. She didn't know this was happening, but on that day the whole house was rearranged. We had tents pitched in the gardens, and Srila Gurudev descended on our house, which is just amazing. And for another 2 weeks, he was in Australia for 3 weeks that first year, and 2 weeks he stayed at our house, and then he stayed the next 3 years as well when he visited. And it was really sweet. In his letters, he would say, "I'm remembering my home in Glenelg Road, Mawulamba." And so affectionate. I Srila Gurudeva, I remember that first year especially, and of course in later years, but just so much love and affection just pouring from it. It just brought so many tears to my eyes, and everybody was just crying. Like, for example, we had his Vyasa Puja there while he was there. And he never got anybody to speak in those days. He didn't want anybody to glorify him. And that was in 1997. And I remember him doing an arti to his Gurudev and the Guru Parampara and on our altar. And then he sat down and we were all offering Pushpanjali. And all of the men that would come and offer flowers to his lotus feet, he would just embrace them. He was on a couch. It wasn't a big vyasa, so it was a couch in our house. And yeah, he would just embrace them. And just so much that love and affection. And and I am, even though I'm a woman and I couldn't, get that physical embrace, I felt that embracing, like by heart, So yeah, so you would know the book Pinnacle of Devotion, which is actually, when you were saying that first verse, Yashodananda Prabhu, that first verse you quoted, Anarpita Chunim Chirat, that was actually the first time I heard the verse. That visit when Srila Gurudev was there, he was speaking from Chaitanya Charitamrita and establishing the goal and what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. And he went through progressively through the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita and then the third and fourth chapters, very detailedly outlining the purpose of the Lord's descent, Mahaprabhu's descent, and how he's come to, in this age of Kali, after many, which is one day in Brahma, as you're describing, to give the highest mellow of conjugal love, the service of Srimati Radharani. So he went into so much detail, and it's all, the lectures are recorded in that book now, Pinnacle of Devotion. And at the time, I had actually previously taken Harinam, not Diksha, but Harinam from another guru. And when I was only 14 years old, and I was thinking, oh, why did I do that? This is my Gurudev. I don't want anybody else. This is my Gurudev. And I was feeling so upset that I'd taken Harinam from this other personality. And I'd actually seen him 3 weeks earlier and didn't feel any heart connection, didn't feel like he knew me, didn't have like any kind of connection with him really. And there was, I was kind of wondering, well, what am I to do? And Srila Gurudev gave one of the classes he gave from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was actually getting the devotees to read from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita throughout his class. He was getting the different purports. And one of the purports, I actually wrote it down today, I looked it up, and saying that Srila Jiva Goswami, this is Srila Prabhupada's purport, Srila Jiva Goswami advises that one should not accept a spiritual master in terms of hereditary or customary social and ecclesiastical convention. One should simply try to find a genuinely qualified spiritual master for actual advancement in spiritual understanding. So when I heard that, and others were talking to me about that as well, that the guru-disciple relationship goes beyond any formal thing, any that you've done because I actually only took Harinam from this other guru because my mother really wanted me to. And it was funny, that day after I took initiation, I felt like my heart sink. I was only 14 years old. I felt like my heart sink, like I'd done the wrong thing. And anyway, so so I just was like, no, he's got to be my Gurudev. Anyway, after 2 weeks he was here, and we went to have a darshan with him. My mother, my sister and I were there, and just a few others are on the lawn. At my parents' property, they have a gazebo down in the forest, and that's where he was staying. So we were all sitting on the lawn outside, and my sister and I just burst out crying. We couldn't talk. And Gurudev said, be frank, like speak, what do you want to say? But my mother had to speak for us, and she asked for initiation. And he said, and she told him that I had taken Harinam initiation from Govinda Maharaj. And so he said to my sister, I'll give you initiation, but for you, which is me, I'll be your Shiksha Guru. And I was just devastated. I was crying even more. And then he started talking to some other devotees that were there. I think he was just testing me. I was just like, no, and he's going. And then he turns back to me and he said, don't worry, I have accepted you. He said, you should come on Vasant Panchami. And I didn't know what that was at that point. And then he said, he took his hands like this and cupped them. And he said, I want to, and he's looking at both me and my sister, and he said, I want to take your tears and offer them unto the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. And he was actually crying as well. It was such a beautiful exchange. And somehow in my heart, I knew everything was going to be okay. And I was talking to Rajanath Prabhu after, and he said that the initiations are going to be held on Vasant Panchami. So then I was like, oh, okay. That's why he said, come on Vasant Panchami. So then he gave us initiation, Harinam and Diksha, in the same day, and it was just amazing. I was also having dreams every night that year. Like I'd just have a dream every single night about Gurudev, and it's just like this enlivening experience. It's hard to describe it. I mean, obviously others have experienced it too. To know, to really understand these things, you've got to experience it. But yeah, anyway, so Gurudev took me under his wing, made me his darling daughter, as he would always say to all of his darling daughters. And yeah, my journey began as his darling daughter. And yeah, so it was 40. He stayed at our house for the next 4 years, 3 years, I think. So 44 years altogether, which is when he visited. And one thing I was remembering, how he would speak, like he would bring us to Kartik as well. You know, we'd go to Vrindavan every year and then see him when he came to Australia. Altogether he came about 10 times. And over those 14 years that he was physically present in our lives. And he would speak so much about the intimacy of the Vrajavasis and their loving relationship with Krishna, and how their mood is like heart to heart, like a family member. Like he would say, Lokik Sat Bandhuvat, like my dearest and nearest friend. And you know how the gopis have that mood of how he is my beloved, and Madhu Yashoda like my son, and all his friends, and my nearest and dearest friend. So Gurudev really brought that mood to us as well, because he was so approachable and so intimate with us, and he made himself available to but at the same time there was that awe and reverence as well. It wasn't like it was you know, it was still grave. That's what I was trying to say. It was still grave, like serious, but at the same time, if you know, he would let you into this beautiful exchange with him and make us his family members, bring us into his family, and you know, inspire that mood inspire that aspiration, at least, to want to enter into the Braj mood of loving affection with Krishna, Radha and Krishna. So how lucky we are to have that connection. It's just mind-blowing when you think about it. I feel like Maya is so strong, really, when you focus on everything else but your bhakti. When you're focusing outwards, it's really easy to believe your eyes that Gurudev is gone. But when you connect with your Harinam and your and following his instructions, then he's not actually gone. He's there. He's there, fully present at every moment. And actually, even more so, I feel like, just so. I mean, when you sometimes, you know, often it's like you get distracted here and there, but yeah, he's, as soon as we think, like he said once, just think of me and I'll be there. And we've all heard so many times how he said, I'm closer to you than your life breath. So what an intimate relationship that he formed with us and was caring for us. We'd ask, how are you? What are you doing with your life? And guiding to establish us on the path back home to where he is now, to be, you know, back home at the lotus feet of Shishi Radha Govinda. And, you know, taking us on parikrama every year, Brajmandal parikrama or Navadvip parikrama. I remember once at Talavan in Vrindavan, he was saying how you don't know what's going on in your heart when you're coming to all these places, but we can see. And, you know, so many things are leaving your heart and so many deep impressions are coming in your heart. So he was, you know, saying it's like he's got a rope taking us all over these places and establishing them in our heart. So yeah, and through his Harikatha, which was like it's like when you're listening to his Harikatha, you might be in thousands there with thousands of people, especially in Navadvip Parikrama or Vrindavan Parikrama, or even, you know, in Australia, maybe 300 people, 100 people, whatever. But you feel like he's talking right to you, that he is there and he's there for you. And everyone says that. It's like, oh, he's speaking to me, he's speaking to me. And it says that Shri Guru is the super soul manifesting without. So the super soul within manifesting without. So, you know, he showed so many times that he knows my heart. He knows me, and he knows all about how to guide me back home. And I know all of his disciples felt like that he knows me and he loves me. He'll never leave me. And he said to think, he reminded us to think like that my hand is always over your head. I will never leave you. And I have so much affection for you. To remember those things and have that full confidence to, like, you know, he gave that example also of the rope in a person stuck in a well, and if they call out to somebody to help them, then somebody walking past will surely throw down a rope to bring them out. So Srila Gurudev is throwing us the rope, and we just have to grab on by following his instructions and hearing and chanting and serving and engaging our life and energy in the service of the Lord, service of our Gurudev. And then surely he'll be taken out of this deep, dark well of this material existence. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't think I had a huge amount of personal time. Like I did, but, you know, like it was sporadic over the years. But he would teach in even indirect ways. Like I remember one time, it was actually in 2008, and he would ask. He actually. So he was staying at Dr. T's house, which actually we need to get Dr. T on here. I have to call him.
As you're speaking, there's about 3 people I'm going to ask you.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, he was staying at Dr. T's house for a little while for rest, and then he came to the festival, and he was asking the group of us there that what he should speak when he comes to Mawulambar. And sometimes I was open with Gurudev, but a lot of times I had at that time, I just had a lot of awe and reverence kind of mood, a little bit scared sometimes, and it just a little bit awkward. That made me a little bit awkward. And when I spoke, and I think I said something like the 11th canto. I just said it like that. I just said it really simply, like the 11th canto. How about the 11th canto? Because he spoke that in Badger the year before, I think. And anyway, when he was in the class down in Mawulambar a week or so later, he introduced what the topic he was going to talk about, and he said that I've spoken with so many different sannyasis and different persons to decide what to speak about, and Candramukhi said to me, "Oh, you spoke such sweet Harikatha when you were in Badger last year, and it was just so nectarian. Please speak about the 11th canto." And I didn't actually say it like that. I just said it really like awkwardly, but I just felt like he was teaching me to be more personal, like, and loving, like, you know, like you can say it like this. Anyway, it's just all these little things. There's so many little things like that I can remember over the years. One time it was Vyasa Puja. We had many Vyasa Pujas actually here, because he always came around January, February time, because that's our summer. And he was down in Cessnock, and that's about 8 hours drive from Mawulambar, or something like that. Yeah. And anyway, most of the devotees down there were from Wollongbar. He was so happy that we'd all come down. It was like about 4 days after the festival here that he had a festival down there. And he was so grateful that everybody had come from Wollongbar, that we'd made that journey. Even when he was speaking Harikatha, it was so beautiful that he was speaking about how Krishna comes during the Harikatha and he's present there, and he's so grateful that you're listening, and he's just giving so much mercy. And anyway, it was his Vyasa Puja, and I felt inspired to write an offering, and I never written an offering for him before. And I just was inspired, and I woke up on the day of his Vyasa Puja very early in the morning, and it was just, you know, like from my heart, just writing all these things. And then I had it in a card, and when Gurudev went for his morning walk, I gave it to him, and others were giving things to him as well. And then later on, Brajanath Prabhu came and told me that when Srila Gurudev came back into the house, all of the cards and letters and things that people had given him were just on the table. And he went over to them and went straight to mine and picked mine up and started reading it. And my father, Rajaballabha Prabhu, was there at that time, and he said, "Oh, your daughter writes so beautifully. I want her to read this tonight." And then he got me to stand up and read it that night. And actually that was the first year that he let people glorify him. He got other people to stand up and glorify Gurudev that year. Can't remember what year it was, 2002 or something. Can't remember. But anyways, I felt it was a exchange, because other times I'd written things in a letter, and I don't think it was from my heart. It was more intellectual, and I didn't get the same reciprocation. So, you know, because, you know, he would say, "My heartly blessings." Everything's got to be from your heart. And that's what I picked up when I first met him. Everything was from your heart. So when I wrote something from my heart, he reciprocated. And that's what Krishna consciousness is. It's from our heart. We want to love Krishna. And so he's trying to, you know, it's so easy to love Gurudev. So by loving Gurudev, gradually, he's bringing us to love Radha and Krishna. How much longer do I have?
Where are we now? 12:40. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. So yes. What else to say?
If you feel like it, you don't have to. Whatever's
Okay.
natural for you, Didi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just one instruction that he gave me that kind of shaped my whole life, really. Actually, it's an instruction he kept having to give me again and again, because I was like a brick, not really kind of wanting to take it in, thinking, oh yeah, when I'm older. But after, I think it was the second or third, maybe the second time I saw him in India, and he called me over. I just arrived. He was on the top of the Mathura Mat at the beginning of Kartik, and it was a darshan, and there was a lot of people there sitting in front of him, and I just walked up the stairs, and he saw me, and he called me over to him, and he said, "I want you to take notes in my classes and preach everywhere." And so I did that. I was like really attentive, and then every time he saw me that Kartik, he would say something on the lines of, "I want you to study Tattva and Siddhanta and preach." And it was just, at first I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll preach when I'm older." Or I was only like 21 or something. And yeah, anyway, I just really tried to imbibe that in my life, because it was such a strong instruction. And I was so shy. And when I was in high school, I was giving speeches, and my hands were shaking, and the palm cards were falling on the ground. But I was studying to be a teacher, and that brought me out of myself, I guess. But it's just interesting how Gurudev can see the different tendencies in his different disciples, and you know, he can see right into your heart and can know exactly what you need for your purification. Because I don't feel like I have any qualification to preach. It's just that maybe I have, you know, some might, you know, we all have some tendencies to do certain things, but that's a way to get Gurudev purifies you to engage in some service. And then it's like, well, all those googlies that are in our heart have to kind of go away when you're doing, like when you're speaking Harikatha. And he said it to all his disciples, I want you to preach, because it's so powerful to speak Harikatha, because your mind has to be fully focused. You can't let it wander, and you want to represent Gurudev. You don't want to get it wrong. And so it's like, and he said, I want you to become a flute, so that I could, like hollow like a flute, so that I can play you. And you're not doing the preaching, he's doing the preaching. He just wants us to come into his be his flute, be hollow like a flute, so that he can play us, and that his message can come through clearly. Not that you know, we're this big preacher persons and we know everything, and you know, but no, it's like everything that we have is coming from our Gurudev. And if we can be like the postman, the messenger, carrying the message of our Gurudev, and try to be open so that he can come through, and if anyone's helped in that regard, it's because he's come through, not because I did something. So it's been quite a training kind of ground, I feel like, when he gave me that instruction to really come into try, you know, more and more align myself with his will, and try to be like that flute, which still got a long way to go, but yeah, it's been a beautiful experience to have that. And he even had me when I was in my 20s. I was 29, I think, at the time when I went. He had me traveling around the world preaching. I was so young, and I was I went 3 times. I stayed at your house, Yashodananda Prabhu.
I know. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny,
so
it's funny. A bit of a coincidence.
What was that?
A bit of a coincidence. I was there.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so it was, I mean, I got to a point where I was like, well, I felt like I couldn't really keep doing it like Shamrani Didi or someone. I needed to kind of.
Didn't you come with your sister? I think it was you and your sister, wasn't it?
She didn't travel the whole journey, but she did come to a few places in England, I think. She was traveling, or she did some traveling with Manjari that year. And but it's just amazing what Gurudev can get you to do. Because he's so, you know, just injects you with so much inspiration. And I feel like now it's time to really absorb in that everything he gave, and really try to go deeper into it, and try and realize what he gave. He's given so much that can last lifetimes. Anyways, I'm kind of running out of things today to say. I feel like I'm just.
Oh, it's beautiful, Didi.
Trying to think of things, but yeah, it's so wonderful to remember Gurudev, and yeah, like he said, when you think of me, I'll be there. So, Jai Shri Gurudev.
He wants us to be his flute, so we can give our heart as his lute, and then we can worship his foot.
You sound like Maharaja.
Oh no, please no.
He used to
maybe
make
that's good.
He used to make all kinds of rhymes.
I know, Maharaja, and his acronyms are infamous. I didn't know that he descended on your house unplanned. That's quite unusual.
Yeah.
That must have been.
Yeah, it was very exciting. It made it more exciting.
That must have been absolutely amazing.
My sister came home from school and the whole house was different. And her bedroom
I just remember how long it took to get everything prepared to host Gurudev. So I don't know how you did that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of help. There's a lot of devotees there to.
Yeah, I suppose everybody mucks in. But the other story you said about how you said you awkwardly sort of stumbled out 11th canto. I don't think he was teaching you how to speak. I think he actually, although you were awkward in your expression, he could feel what was behind your expression. He was expressing your heart, actually, I think.
Oh, that's nice. Actually, that could be right. Oh, that's really sweet. I never thought about that.
Because that's what
Yeah,
because when you say when he said I'm closer to you than the air that you breathe, that also means I know you more than you know yourself.
it's true. And what's coming out as words is what only like conditioned souls see, but someone
Yeah,
like him can see
yeah.
everything, the whole
He's
dimension
seeing
of.
intention. He's seeing intention.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah,
what he
and you're,
could see in all of us. And
yeah.
as you were speaking, I was thinking, oh my God, how is your stepdad? He's such a laugh. Oh my God, he's like
Yeah,
he's like a joke a minute. That guy.
I tried
He
to
would,
he
huh?
won't. I tried to get him to come on here and he won't. He's just not a computer man. He's just
He doesn't need to be. You just have him. Oh, is he a long way from you?
no, he's not a long way from me. No. Well, he's about 15
So
minutes drive.
you know those ventriloquist dummies. Yeah, you just sit him there like you're the operator, and then when it's ready to go, he speaks.
I'll
Bring him
try.
to your house and arrange for him to do this because he's fantastic. He's
I
got so
know.
much to share. Can you ask him personally from me?
Okay.
Say
I'll
the
try.
Nandan is doing full satsang dandavats, yeah, with a bit of a cheeky smile on his face, and is begging that that your stepdad offers his Pushpanjali because he's very, very funny and also has had wonderful association.
Yeah. Okay,
And
I'll
yeah,
try.
obviously the other one's Dr. T. I don't think he'll have any problem being in front of any camera.
Yeah. I'll definitely get him. He won't have a problem.
He'll be like, oh yeah, when do you want me to turn up? No problem. Excuse me, I was coughing here. And the other one is Damadarini.
You mean Damodar Priya?
Damodar Priya. So I always get a name wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Damodar
She's
Priya.
very busy, but I'll try to get her on. She's
Yeah.
doing double or triple the load of her job because of COVID.
Right.
But I'll try. I'll try again.
Yeah. And you know, that's such a beautiful Pushpanjali, and I loved your interactions with Srila Gurudev, and like whenever you were describing your experiences of Gurudev and how Gurudev was shining his love on you, you bring, like you were saying, oh, all you have to do is say, be present. I want to see you, Gurudev, and he's here. You presence Gurudev in my heart by presencing him in your heart. That's what these Gurudev memories are all about. So I'm really grateful for that because I feel nourished from you nourishing me by your experiences of Srila Gurudev. So much, much appreciated. Thanks, Candramukhi.